Hey, and welcome to another week of Libertarians at Large. My name is Eric Rautzep, where we discuss the week in the news and express a libertarian point of view of the goings-on in our nation and abroad. We welcome your comments and questions in the chat box, so feel free to comment regularly. We may share your comment on the air. This week, I'm joined by my fellow at-large members, Valerie Sarwak and Laura Ebke, and of course, our special guest this week is our Secretary of the Libertarian National Committee, Caryn Harlos. How are you doing?
All righty.
Oh, it is. Can you believe another week has already gone by? I know I can't.
It seems like we were just doing this last week.
Right?
Yeah.
And what a crazy week it has been. I mean, from the moment we practically ended our broadcast to now is just absolutely insane. I mean, I think it's fair to say that the honeymoon between the press and Biden is over. I mean, that is done. With all of the detention camps that we have on our border and the press being not allowed, the fact that families are still being separated, the fact that there's overcrowding. Children are supposed to only be there for 72 hours and they're being there for over 10 days. I mean, the list goes on and on. The border is a disaster, and Mayorkas is lying through his teeth trying to cover up, and it's not working. Today, with the Ninth Circuit Court and a million things in between, this has been a nonstop week in the news cycle for American politics. It blows my mind. What is everyone else's take on this?
It's been so crazy. Yeah. And then putting Kamala in charge at the border. I'm like, oh.
I laughed my butt off when I heard that one. That's going to be a disaster because her policy of immigration in California when she was the district attorney was a disaster unto itself. So this is just, we're bad going after worse. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Laura?
I agree. I mean, that's kind of the big thing that struck me this week is that we put, the police person in chief in charge of the border, which seems kind of crazy to me, but
she actually advocated for expanding ICE. I mean, this is a disaster. Caryn, what's your take on the week in news and the craziness that has gone on?
Well, I'm glad the media is finally paying attention to it because they did really, really ignore it for a while. But I'm not so sure the honeymoon is over. I just think that they had to say something. Though where I see another thing happening with maybe the honeymoon being over is more and more Democrats are coming out telling Cuomo he needs to resign. And Biden's still taking the wait and see. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to do that for much longer. And freaking Cuomo is calling this cancel culture. That ain't cancel culture, honey. I have a problem with cancel culture, but that ain't it.
He's called out so many individuals that are both far progressive Democrats and Republicans because that's not his flavor of Democrat. And he has called for their immediate resignation. And now when the spotlight's turned on him, this is just, unfair treatment. And come on, that's not the way it goes. I'm sorry, people. It's, you do something wrong, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. That's really what it boils down to. And Cuomo has obviously been playing some stupid games.
Well, more than that, but
I'm being very facetious about it, but yeah.
Well, it's kind of like with the Trump impeachment, though. The things they were wanting to impeach him for really weren't the things he should have been impeached for. So everyone's going nuts over these allegations when really the issue with Cuomo is that he killed a bunch of grandmas and pretty much said everyone else was doing it. So it's almost like when you get the mob boss on tax evasion when you really want to get him on murder, but you can't.
Exactly. There is no clean hand in Washington, and this week has proved it in spades. I mean, that's really what it is. Jared is mentioning, what about Biden's push to violate 2A, 4A, 5A, and 6A? Yeah, the Bill of Rights in Biden's view, is all antiquated and probably needs to go because it takes away his ability to have dictatorial power, as well as any president in recent history believes that they have divine right in one way or another. Some of them call it divine right, some call it a mandate. Yeah, I mean, that's the Bill of Rights really gets in the way of it. I'm surprised he hasn't started gunning after the First Amendment yet.
Well, others are certainly gunning after the First Amendment. I made a point. I guess it's been in the last week. Bill was in the Nebraska legislature. There are a lot of them. A lot of instances of this bill going around right now. Student journalists, and having First Amendment rights, and while here's the key: if it's a public school, if the public is paying for it, then we have to say that the First Amendment applies. You can lift that a little bit with private organizations. I mean, it's not optimal, but you can still say, well, a private organization has the right to censor what's published in its papers or whatever. But if it's in a public school newspaper or a public college newspaper, it's being funded by the taxpayers at some level. So I think that there's that's happening all over the place. So and it's not just the progressives. It's not just the Biden folks. In fact, one of the Republican legislators in the Nebraska legislature said, I believe in this, is almost a direct quote. I believe in the First Amendment, but you have to learn about the right things to say. It's like, wait a second. No, that's not the way it works. So,
the violations of the First Amendment have been going on since the 1960s. Since ever we put "In God We Trust," because isn't that not the government picking a religion over every other religion? I mean, I'm Episcopalian. I go to church regularly. I am lay ordained, so I can administer the body and blood. But I still don't, even though that is my religion, I still think it is wrong to see it on our money. Not only the fact that our money is fallible and a conversation for an entirely another show, but I mean, that's a violation. It's the first sentence in our First Amendment that the government shall not pick a religion over another. And the government did it. And it was all because of the fear of communism. So, the First Amendment has been turned into Swiss cheese slowly over the last 60 years anyway. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Well, there's just a current example in Kentucky where they're making it a misdemeanor to taunt police officers.
Right.
Perfect example. Yeah, exactly.
Poor babies. Oh, my goodness.
Well, I know. They're so sensitive. I mean, what? How can they defend themselves? They are completely defenseless and helpless creatures. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's definitely not just the left, and people forget Trump wanted to, deprive people of citizenships that burn the flag. It's
right. Yeah.
It's not just one side.
Oh, no. There is both of the old world parties are very, very much at fault. And the more you observe, the more you realize that the Republicans and the Democrats are far more similar than different.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's, what do they say?
Two sides of the same coin?
Yes.
And that's why I'm proud to be a libertarian, because I'm on a completely different coin.
Exactly.
I always told my students that when you start talking about ideology and partisanship, that you shouldn't think of it as a straight line. You should think of it as a connected. That when you pull the two ends together and bring them together to make a circle, that's what it really is. That it's a lot harder to tell the right from the left when you actually turn them into a circle, and that it's all the people someplace else that that used to make up the majority of the public.
No.
Well, on the analogy, I prefer two cheeks of the same ass, just me personally.
There goes our wholesomeness rating.
We're no
Should have
longer
had me
wholesome
on.
tonight.
No, not with me on. That's
No. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. But what else has everyone else been doing? I mean, we've kind of touched on the craziness of the American political situation, but yeah, anything going on in our different regions of the country that we need to know about? What's going on in Colorado, Caryn? Anything of import and excitement?
well, we had that Boulder shooting, so that's obviously on everyone's mind. But on less depressing front, we're really moving ahead with RCV here. It's gaining a lot of good ground, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that shooting was a tragedy, absolute tragedy. There's no other words for it. That and what happened in Georgia just a few days prior to that is disgusting. And that's why I believe that, the Second Amendment was written the way it was, is that, we need to be well regulated, and regulated is training. And we need to know how to use and respect the firearms as the tools that they are. Just handing someone a circular saw and saying, go build a house isn't going to happen. Mm-hmm. The same thing with a firearm. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to cause havoc and devastation. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And it's because our school systems no longer embrace firearm training or the acceptance of firearms. Our society is, a large portion of it is scared of them. And we no longer have the real conversations in our communities about firearm safety and how to properly respect and handle and maintain firearms. That's really what it comes down to, in my opinion. Agree to disagree? What's everyone else's opinion on that?
I don't think I know enough about what was going on with this guy in Colorado. But was he the one that was bullied? Is that the guy?
I don't think we precisely know the motives yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
not to step on a third rail, but the funny thing is immediately everyone was going on about the epidemic of white male shooters, and he was Syrian. Mm-hmm. But what I found interesting is everyone's going around blaming the guns. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if this was a motive, but I can tell you the first thing that entered my mind, it's not as if we haven't been bombing Syria, is it? I mean, there might be other motives here that have nothing to do with, the guns themselves, but blowback. Now, that could be completely off base because we don't know. But on your point, Eric, I mean, these guys, I don't know if it's necessarily training or the antiquated, the old meaning of the term regulated. Mm-hmm. These people knew how to use a gun. Mm-hmm. I think it's more treating symptoms rather than the underlying problem. When you have angry people, they're going to find a way to kill people. And whether it's guns or not, we need to learn that some things are non-negotiable and those are our rights, and just stop even looking at infringing upon those. Take that off the table, and then we'll begin to actually come up with solutions that are doable. But the minute you keep glancing at our rights, the problems will continually get obscured.
Oh, that's for sure. That is absolutely for sure. And it is. I mean, it's a very multifaceted issue in our country with violence right now. And that was only one aspect. And I think you're absolutely right that it's a much deeper problem. And my one point wasn't the solution. It's part of the solution. And it's much deeper and much more involved than that one aspect. But a lot of people are also bringing up the Ninth Circuit Court. Now, I'll admit, it came out this afternoon. I have not read it. I have not even breezed it yet. It is on my to-do list tomorrow. But has anyone actually taken a look at it? I mean, I've heard some wild rumors about it, but I
don't even know what you're talking about, to be honest. I just got off work.
Okay, so the Ninth,
right?
you're lucky that you. So the Ninth Circuit Court ruled potentially that it is no longer the Americans' right to open carry.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. This is bad. This is really, really bad. What the implications are on this, we don't know yet. But this is a really disgusting decision coming down from the Ninth Circuit Court. It's bad.
Would people not? Okay, I live in a state that has open carry. And it's relatively safe. I don't know. Since we've been here, I don't think there's been any even a murder. I mean, there's been some strange things happening, but not like the shootings. But I would rather see a gun and know that somebody has it than not know they have it. That's the part about when people get so bent out of shape about open carry. But if they're going to conceal it, they're going to conceal it even if they're not allowed to conceal it, and would you rather know that somebody's carrying a gun so that you see it if you feel that threatened or unsafe around? I would feel actually safer around somebody who's got carrying a gun,
I would say a quarter of the people were open carrying at the New Hampshire convention.
Yeah.
And no one got shot. No one was injured.
No one even.
Can I ask a question? What were they carrying? Handguns?
All handguns.
Yeah.
So
there
the question.
There were quite a few Glocks.
The question is there a difference between? Not from a rights perspective, but from the perception of others' perspective, is there a difference between open carrying a handgun and open carrying an AR-15 slung over your shoulder?
I would have been okay. We're at a convention. Is that necessary? Couldn't you just bring one of your other 25 guns?
Yeah.
So yes, the perception of that is that it's more dangerous. But, we know so much about guns than the general public, I would say, so far as that. So yeah, that, if you're doing that to intimidate people or to look like a macho guy, then that's a different story. But yeah, everybody was there exercising their rights, not for intimidation purposes.
So in the Nebraska State Capitol, at least as of 2 years ago, or whenever the last time we had a gun bill that I was there for, the people were open carrying like crazy. It's allowed. You can open carry in the Nebraska legislature. You can't conceal carry because there's a courtroom there. But you can open carry. And then so there were a lot of guys with guns on their hips. And that was okay. But people got kind of weirded out when they started, when they came in with AR-15s or whatever slung over their shoulder, or you had the guy that was dressed in tactical gear and a helmet. It's it makes people nervous.
I thought you were going to say colonial gear.
9 times out of 10, if I see someone open carrying an AR-15, I'm wondering what type of deficiency they're trying to cover up.
Well, exactly. Exactly. It just raises a whole set of different questions when you see that. And do they have the right to do it? Sure. Yeah. But being able to do something and whether or not you should do it may be different things. If you're going to be considerate of people around you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Caryn, any feelings on open carry?
Oh, no, I'm all in favor of it. I probably disagree a little bit with you guys on the other thing. I don't have a problem with someone walking around with an AR either.
Oh, I don't have a problem with it. I just think it's a little funny. I it's within their rights. They should do it.
I think it's goofy when people have balls on their truck. Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing, maybe.
Yeah, I don't. It's not wrong. I don't disagree with it. I just think it's fun.
A matter of opinion.
Exactly. It's just whatever. Oh. Sorry.
Well, I wasn't saying y'all thought it was wrong, but I don't even give it the side eye. I wouldn't think twice. I don't know. And what's funny about all of that is I'm not a gun person. I'm a pacifist, but I'm quite zealous for gun rights. But me personally, I don't own a gun. That's just me, and it's a religious thing. It's not a political thing. But I also don't think twice. I wouldn't look twice at somebody walking around with an AR, to be honest with you.
I mean, I like to know who's carrying.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't have a problem with it. In fact, I encourage it. And the reason I want to know who's carrying is because I wasn't carrying at the moment. And if things did happen, I want to know which way to run. You know, you run towards the people open carrying, you know, so that's it. You know, I mean, it's knowing your environment. And that's the only reason that I was taking note of who was carrying and what they were carrying. But I mean, that's me. Yeah, but I have no problem with it, and I encourage it. I encourage it on a regular basis.
Do you mind if I address something that's in chat just briefly?
Sure. Which comment brings your attention?
Well, Patrick Wilson is saying there's a question he keeps asking and says it's a fundamental question he hasn't heard a Libertarian Party leader address. I've addressed it in full in about an hour and a half show on my channel. So if you want to check that out, because it's not really the subject for today, a Libertarian Party leader has in fact addressed it. So I invite you, if you maybe shoot me a PM on Facebook, I can give you the link to the video, but I have dealt with all your questions in case you're curious.
What was his question? Because
they're really going on about the abortion topic in chat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And we've touched on that.
I deal with it quite a bit. So, and to that person might be interested because I could tell they're pro-life. I'm pro-life as well, but I defend the Libertarian Party's position on the issue. So you might find the video interesting, because it's not coming from a person who is in favor of abortion.
I mean, I'm personally pro-life because I believe the really dirty word in our society currently is adoption. You know, I think more people should consider the avenues of adoption before abortion because there are so many families that are desperate to adopt and can give that child a loving family. But I do understand why I don't want the government involved in forcing a woman not to have an abortion. But I think that's a societal shift that we need to address. But that's my opinion on it. And there are many other opinions within the Libertarian Party about that.
Yeah.
So, you know, a large part of it is, when do you define life? Is it at conception or at birth? You know, I mean, that's a large part of it. And there's a whole other 1,000 other nuanced aspects to it that will change and shift things. And yeah, I mean, that is a very difficult question that raises a lot of interesting philosophical aspects and avenues that can really bring in many different opinions and real solutions. And yeah. So it's a really tough nut to crack, though.
Yeah, I guess I'm the only pro-choice one here, but my stance is because I know what would happen if we completely outlawed abortions, and you know that's unsafe to the women and society as a whole. And there is is it Freakonomics? I think Freakonomics, they have a whole chart about like when abortions were illegal and when in the relation to crime later, because children that were brought into the world that were raised in an unloving home tended to commit more crimes later down the road. So I mean, there's arguments on all the sides, but yeah, no,
and Rob, I totally agree with you, and I think that's one of the amazing parts of the Libertarian Party, because you probably have you have 4 people on camera right now, and we probably all have 4 different opinions on why or why not it's right, and it all depends, and we're all right. That's the amazing thing.
Yeah.
The gentleman whose comment you had up, Mr. Stutz, are you coming to the Colorado convention in a couple months? Because he said he was from Colorado, so.
Gotcha.
I'm
He's actually one of our
trying
regular
to
viewers, and
pimp
we love
some
having him here.
tickets here.
Oh,
I'll be there. I'm excited
Yeah,
to be there.
I just saw the flyer we that came out that had all the speakers on it, because I've been so busy with national, I haven't really been that plugged in actually in Colorado. So I just learned all the speakers today. And I see Ashley Shade will be there, which is exciting.
Rob says yes. Yes, he will.
Awesome. Okay, I'll see you there then.
He's actually running for HD 34. Thank you for running. That is amazing.
Good. Awesome.
Fantastic. Good luck.
So I think over the course of the last 5, 6, how long has it been? 5 years since I joined the party. I think I've been to more Colorado libertarian conventions than I have been to Nebraska, because Colorado does it like every year, and Nebraska only does every other year. And so the Colorado folks have been very generous and kind and invited me, and I just keep showing up. So I feel I know people in Colorado almost as well as I do people in Nebraska. So
that's awesome. That's like me in Tennessee, because I've been to 11 North Carolina conventions and 9 Tennessee conventions at this point. So yeah, it's amazing.
It's Arizona I never miss, because theirs is the first one of the year.
Yeah.
So it's like to kick off the season, because it's always with Valerie, it's always like the last weekend in January or something.
Yeah.
And it's so cheap to go there from Colorado. So I'm always at the Arizona conventions.
That's awesome.
My birthday weekend. Like, yay.
well, that's okay. Our LNC meeting that is scheduled for June will be on my birthday weekend. So you know how excited I am.
We're really good at scheduling them on important dates,
Our anniversary too.
Anniversaries, bachelor parties,
solar eclipses.
Solar eclipses. Yeah, exactly. If there's something going on in one or all of our lives, there's going to be an LNC meeting.
That's right.
2 years ago, I was giving birth on our anniversary, and this year I'll be at an LNC meeting, and I don't know which I would prefer.
The comments are coming in so fast and furious. I'm bringing up the wrong ones sometimes. I do apologize.
Yeah, but we don't know where the meeting's going to be. That's the mystery.
Right? We really do need to figure that one out.
We'll decide that here soon. Next week, this week, sometime.
Yeah, Rob,
in the next few days.
Krause is working on it. I've been going to the staff meetings to try to find out when it's going to be, and he's still working on it.
Well, he always does an amazing job.
He does.
He makes the wheels run behind the scenes, and he does it with skill and finesse.
So, what time is it?
It is 8:29.
You know what that means?
My clock.
I do. I
Yes.
do. Caryn, do you know what 8:29
I have no freaking idea.
It means it's time for the New York Times news quiz.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to funk that.
Whoops. Wrong one. There we go.
Wrong side.
There we go.
We get help from the audience, Caryn Ann. So
Right?
Oh, okay.
So
We cheat then. That's awesome.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now, if you had a Robert's Rules quiz, I'd kick your butts.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that you
we
would.
wouldn't do that to ourselves. That's
Oh. Tribal leaders across the country celebrated this week as Representative Deb Haaland of New Mexico, and I probably slaughtered her name, and I do apologize. Oh,
just your Amazon orders.
yeah, I know. My Amazon order is on its way. Look at that. I'll close out of that. There we go. Tribal leaders across the country celebrated this week as Representative Deb Haaland of New Mexico became the first Native American to lead a cabinet agency. Which federal department does she now lead? the Exchequer, Department of Health and Human Services, Department of the Interior, Department of Redundancy Department, and the State Department. I think my favorite answer on that list is the Department of Redundancy Department.
It sounds like something out of Harry Potter, doesn't it?
It really does, but I really wouldn't be surprised if the federal government had it at the same time.
We could start a committee to start committees to oversee.
Yes, the Committee on Forming Committees. Yes,
we actually have one of those in the legislature in Nebraska. It's the Committee on Committees.
Oh
yes.
my gosh!
And actually, the federal government has it as well.
Yeah, there you go. So, I think it was the Department of Interior.
I agree.
It was that one I know.
Yeah, well,
good, we're on a roll.
Department of Interior is correct. And yeah, there's a lot of great people who are talking about it. The first one that I'm seeing is Eric Thran, Secretary of the Interior. More than a dozen European countries temporarily halted vaccinations with the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine, throwing the vaccine rollout into further disarray in Europe. Why?
The blood
Extreme weather closed vaccination sites across the continent. Fear over blood clots forming as a potential side effect. Multiple countries ran out of vaccines, or too many people expressed vaccine hesitancy.
Blood clots.
Blood clots, yeah.
Blood clots, yep.
This is pretty easy so far.
Well,
I know. Now it's going to get tough. You know that. You just jinxed us.
Well, Eric, then it's up to you.
No. New cases of virus are rising in much of Europe. Which three of the following help explain why? And the English language seems to be failing me tonight. A deadlier variant first discovered in Budapest is spreading. EU countries recently lifted all travel restrictions. Europeans express relatively high levels of vaccine hesitancy. European Union bureaucracy slowed the approval of vaccines, or the vaccine rollout has been slow in many European countries. And remember, we're choosing 3 of them.
Woo.
Well, one of them has to be the bureaucracy, because they always mess things up, right?
Yeah, right. Government's
that one's got to be one of them.
I agree.
Yeah.
The vaccine rollout has been very slow in many of the European countries. That's why France, Germany, and Austria are still at 1% or lower. Europeans, so we've got 3 left, and we've got to choose one. So are Europeans hesitant about the vaccine? I think we can rule out the fact that the EU has lifted all travel restrictions. Otherwise, I'd be on my way to Malta for a honeymoon.
Right.
And I have not heard about a deadlier strain in Budapest. I've heard about the South African, the Brazilian, and there's another one, but it wasn't from Budapest. So I'm thinking it's hesitancy. What does everyone else think?
I don't know. I really don't know. But I haven't heard anything about this variant, but everybody's saying variant. And yeah, no, the travel restrictions are still in place.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Eric.
You're saying hesitant, Caryn?
Yeah.
We're going to go with hesitant. And we are right.
Ooh. Well, that's true. I mean, like, I'm pro medical health or choice or whatever. But like anytime we have a measles outbreak, it's because somebody from France came, right, and gave people measles in Disney World.
France is always the cause. It's usually.
I forgot about that. I mean, I don't care what you do.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's your body, your choice. You do what you want. I mean, but President Biden said he supported a change to the filibuster. The ruling required 60 votes to pass most Senate bills. That would force senators trying to block a bill to do what? And I know the answer to this one because, yeah. It was on C-SPAN radio for almost 2 days. So if you listen to C-SPAN radio, you probably know the answer.
I don't. But anytime you change rules or change guidelines to help your side, it comes back later to bite you in the ass. And I don't know why people don't realize those kinds of things. You know, like just you make it easier for yourself, and then you're making it easier for somebody who you might not agree with later.
Yeah, I think it's. I think it's.
Jay is saying talk.
I think it's talk on the floor.
And that is correct. Talk on the Senate floor. Joe Biden wants to go back to the Mr. Smith goes to Washington style filibuster instead of the ones that we've had since the 1960s, which are basically phone-in filibusters.
I wonder who owns the filibuster record now. I wonder. Strom Thurmond did for years.
Yeah,
for years and years.
I don't know. That's a great question. If any of our wonderful audience wants to take a look and see, that would be awesome.
It's still, according to Google, I can Google. It's still.
Mike D says it's Rand Paul.
I don't know. Who holds the filibuster record? It says it was Strom Thurmond for 24 hours and 18 minutes.
Yeah. I actually got to meet Strom Thurmond back in 1996. It was in the Hart Building in the cafeteria. I was a intern at the time, and he sat down. He asked if he could sit down and have lunch with me, and he gave me his secret to long life. And I'm probably going to get in trouble for sharing this. But his secret for long life was a cigar, drink a bottle of beer in brown glass every day. Smoke a cigar every week. And have a different woman every month.
Oh my gosh.
That is the secret to long life. It was 1996. Times were very different, and we have to remember that this was Strom Thurmond.
Right.
So, but that's what he told me in the cafeteria in the Hart Building when I was an intern. So yeah, that would be never forgot that one.
He was like 90 then also, right?
Oh yeah. He was an elder statesman, that is for sure. Which of the following two ways have immigration flows at the U.S. border changed in recent years? Of the immigrants attempting to enter the U.S., a growing share are adults traveling alone.
Russians. No, just joking.
Damn those Russians. Canadians, Central Americans, children, Mexicans, or Russians. Well, the Russians are probably just going and hanging out with Sarah Palin because she can see Russia from her backyard. I'm still not letting that one die. I think Mexicans have pretty much always been crossing from the southern border. Mm-hmm. The fact that there is a facility with over 5,000 children that was designed for 2,000, I would probably say children was probably one of the correct answers.
Yeah.
With all of the political strife in Guatemala, Venezuela, even a little bit from Panama right now, I would not be surprised that Central Americans were one of the answers. Canadians have a huge unguarded border, so why would they travel to the south to go there? And adults traveling alone, possibly, but then wouldn't that be kind of the opposite of children? So
I don't think. Well,
I don't know. I'm saying it's children and Central Americans. Agree to disagree. Jared Hall, says children and Central Americans as Tim, thanks for watching, Tim, by the way. That's awesome.
It's
Central
T-Rex.
Americans.
It's T-Rex. Say it properly now.
T-Rex. Sorry, T-Rex.
There's like so much violence and civil wars and drugs.
Central America is.
Yeah, Guatemala, Honduras are both.
Horrific right now.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it's these two. What do we say?
Children.
A lot of our viewers are saying the same.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we have the smartest viewers. I love it.
That's because they're libertarians.
Exactly. 3 sitting Democratic senators shown in blue on this chart represent states Donald Trump won in the 2020 election. Which one circled on the far right represents a state won by more than 30 points? Sherrod Brown of Ohio, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Joe Mancini of West Virginia, John Ossoff of Georgia, or John Tester of Montana. So let's look at that. This is a state that has 10 representatives. So do we know representative numbers for Ohio, Wisconsin, West Virginia, Georgia, or Montana?
No, that's not what that is it?
What?
Just scroll up a little bit, would you? No, that's just by how much that's the total Senate, and that's how much they won by. So which of those?
Okay. So these are U.S. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so what state is there a Democratic senator who won where Trump won more than 30% of the vote by more than 30%?
Well, it's not Georgia.
Yeah.
Doesn't it have to be
West Virginia?
Yeah,
West Virginia.
Don't even Virginia, West Virginia.
Whatever.
I agree. Yep, it's West Virginia.
Nebraska. I don't care.
Yep.
Trust the Ohioans.
Okay.
Oh
The
my God.
2021 Oscar nominees were announced this week. Which movie got the most nods?
Like, is Who Cares one of the options?
Trust me, I get every single one of these wrong because this is not the part of news that I follow. Mank, the director, David Fincher's black and white meditation on old Hollywood. Minari, the director, Lee Isaac Chung's tale of the Korean American family that moves into an Arkansas farm. Nomadland, a drama by the director Chloe Zhao about a woman living on the road after losing everything in the Great Recession. Promising Young Woman, a revenge thriller by the director Emerald Fennell about a traumatized medical school dropout, or The Sound of Metal, a drama directed by Darius Marder about a heavy metal drummer who begins losing his hearing.
The only one I've heard of is Promising Young Woman. I have seen a movie in the movie theater during COVID, and it was Croods 2. So this is not my...
I've never heard of any of them.
I haven't either.
I think
we have a lot of people
would like Promising Young Woman.
We have a lot of people saying that it's Nomadland. And then Kenneth also is voting for Who Cares. But then Rob also says Nomadland. So I'm guessing Nomadland is the answer we're going with.
Do it.
Sure.
No, it's Mank.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it either.
Well,
that's one of those artsy fartsy ones that
Yeah, and I might be farty, but I'm not artsy. Gonzaga University is the top seed in this year's NCAA men's basketball tournament. Where is the school located? A, Washington. Well, you see the map.
A.
Yep.
A.
Yeah, I agree. It's A.
And they're playing this weekend, I guess, Creighton University in the Battle of the Jesuits. Creighton University is in Omaha, so we've got a Nebraska team in the Sweet 16.
Very good.
And there's a lot of upset in the NCAA this year. I know there's a lot of favorite teams already out. I'm not a basketball fan, but I live in North Carolina, so I can't avoid it because there's a whole NCAA section of the news every morning.
Okay, so I've watched like 2 college games in the last year. Those were both Nebraska games that my husband had on, and so I fell asleep. Right, at work, we always have a kind of a bracket tournament. I won last year just by guessing. So far, I'm ahead this year. My bracket is doing the best out of the 6 of us. So
That's how it always is.
You will have to pick my bracket from now on.
There we go.
I only pay attention if my college is in it, and it hasn't been for many, many years. So,
what is pictured in this photo? Ancient text pieces written in a newly discovered language. Historians think it might be one of the oldest languages in the world. Newly discovered Dead Sea Scroll fragments containing verses from the biblical book of the 12 Minor Prophets, dating back almost nearly 2,000 years. Scattered parchment pieces from the papyri recently found by archaeologists in Egypt, or pieces of Sappho's poems. She wrote more than 10,000 lines in the 6th century BC. Fewer than 70 complete lines exist. We have a lot of people saying Dead Sea, and a lot of and we've got Jared saying papyri.
Caryn Ann, you have a guess?
No, I'm just getting completely puzzled. There isn't one biblical book that has the 12 minor prophets in it. That's separate books, but I could just be anal here.
Well, there are a lot of deleted books in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Like, you also have the Book of Mary, you have the Book of Job, not Job.
Job is actually in the Bible.
Yeah, I know.
Even I knew that.
Oh my gosh, where is my brain tonight? I do not.
I don't think there's an apocrypha called the 12 Minor Prophets. I've never heard of that apocrypha.
But I know that they've recently found something to do with the Dead Sea Scrolls, so.
I don't know. People are saying C, that it's the papyri.
Yeah, we're pretty much even with Dead Sea Scrolls and the Oxyrhynchus papyri. Okay, I tried it.
There's not enough vowels in that word. Can I buy a vowel?
Right? Exactly.
Oxyrhynchus?
I think you're probably closest.
Oxyrhynchus, I bet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's from a language. I mean, if they're archaeologists in Egypt, it's probably a language that predominantly utilized pictures. So, the hieroglyphics. So no need for vowels. Yeah. So are we going with that one?
Yeah, do it.
Sure.
Oh, damn!
No.
I think
it is the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, but I think they mean books. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. I am so triggered by that right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I learned something, but it just seems odd to me. But I'm looking it up.
Much of the Hebrew Bible, earliest known, let's say, fragments first unearthed in decades, were found in the Judean desert. So what? They found another cave, or?
I guess so. I mean, they find amphorae with fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls every once in a while. Obviously, the largest trove was found in the 70s and 80s, but there's still every once in a while another amphorae that comes out with more material for the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's really interesting. Beeple's every days, the first 5,000 days, a piece of digital art known as an NFT, sold for $69 million at Christie's auction. What makes NFTs different from a normal image or video? They can appear in air like a hologram. They can be verified as authentic. They cannot be shared on social media. They disappear after a set amount of time, or they don't show up in Google searches.
Oh my gosh, I heard a story about this on the Good Morning when I talked to the Google in the morning, and I wasn't listening. But I don't think it would be something that disappears. Why would you spend $69 million on something that's going to disappear?
So Rob says they can be verified. That is our only hint so far.
I think that's right.
And I would agree. Any other input?
Sounds good to me. I don't know.
Caryn?
No, I wasn't paying attention because I was looking up the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yes.
And I've got the answer, by the way, for the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Oh, yeah. Please share. Please share.
It's one scroll that was part of the larger Septuagint. That's where the confusion was. So it was from like the book of Zechariah, from the various books of the minor prophets, but they were all compiled in one scroll as part of the larger Septuagint.
That makes a lot more sense.
It does.
The New York Times just worded it poorly.
It was worded weird.
Yeah, it really was.
Oh, last one.
Shortly after A.A. Milne introduced the world to Winnie the Pooh in 1926, the person who served as inspiration for the character Christopher Robin threatened to get back at Milne by writing poems about it. Who was it?
Well, the story, isn't it, that it was about his son? That Christopher Robin was supposed to be about his son? No?
That's what I've always thought.
Yeah. His son was like, fuck you, Dad. I'm going to write.
Well, I mean, one of the options on there is his 6-year-old son. So I would. But
that's a weird kind of revenge. I'm going to write a poem.
Yeah. I'll show him.
This is you know, 1926, and your father is a British poet or, you know, a British author.
Yeah. It's like the original form of mean tweeting.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I am going to write mean poetry about you has now been replaced by Twitter. I would agree. I would definitely say that it was his 6-year-old son.
Well, if it's, that's what I would say. But if it's King George V or something like that, that's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I know. I just don't see King George V being the inspiration for Christopher Robin. Everyone agree?
Yeah.
Sure. There we go.
Yep, it's his 6-year-old son. Christopher Robin levied his threat at a 1928 Winnie the Pooh party in London. It's fun being famous, but sometimes it's a nuisance. The boy said, according to the Times, "Wait and see how father likes the poems that I write about him."
That's adorable.
That really is.
That's like Wendy saying she's going to get back at Dave by cooking hamburgers.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So I am a big Pooh fan. I am a huge...
Oh, I don't want to hear about that.
Well, no.
TMI.
Right? But Winnie the Pooh and Piglet are the only two non-human legal citizens of the United States. If you did not know that, now you do. There are two citizens of the United States that are not human, and they are Winnie the Pooh and Piglet.
And they're British. What the heck?
Right. Well, so the story behind it was that the library in London had received all of the stuffed animals that made up the Winnie the Pooh world after everyone passed away. And during the World War II bombings, the London Library, on interlibrary loan, sent them to the New York Public Library for safekeeping. The New York Public, or the New York City Public, fell so in love with Winnie the Pooh and Piglet that they did not want to send them back to England after the war had ended. So what happened was that President Truman granted citizenship and refugee status to Winnie the Pooh and to Piglet.
Oh.
And they are still in the New York City Public Library. They are citizens, they have passports, and they are registered to vote.
So we
in
stole
the city of New York. Now,
Yeah,
it
basically
has
they're
been verified
hostages.
they have never actually cast a ballot, but they are registered to vote, and they are part of a New York City get out the vote drive. But yes, no, they are. There are two non-human citizens of the United States, and they are Winnie the Pooh and Piglet.
Have you read The Tao of Pooh?
Of course I do.
Okay,
I
just
love
making
the Tao
sure.
of Pooh.
I like that better than Winnie the Pooh, but anyway, I just was
Yes.
checking.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So that's just the little fun fact of the night, that Winnie the Pooh is now a bona fide U.S. citizen. And that completes our quiz tonight. Congratulations on finishing the score. Our raw score is 9 out of 11. Our relative score is 62. That means that we did better than 62% of Times readers. Congratulations, everyone.
Yay.
Hey.
Oh,
Well,
so what other announcements? What do we have going on for the next week? What do we have planned? What are we doing?
okay, Jay's got a great comment here. Once upon a time, the government fought extradition for a stuffed bear and pig. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And now they're like, hey, just put those other kids over there with the other kids.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay.
Oh,
Can I
Jared
talk?
has a question for you, Valerie.
I put the link in the chat there for you. The Affiliate Support Committee is rocking and rolling, and we have raised almost $7,000, like inches away from hitting $7,000 just this year alone. The contest, the Affiliate in the Box contest, will be coming to a close April 15th, and we have several really good submissions so far, but there's still time to get them in because the cash prize for the winner is $1,000 and then nationwide notoriety, because then we will give your box to brand new affiliates. So enter today.
And
Valerie is the bomb.
Carol Ann, I'm a big fan of yours because you are the head of the historical committee. Can you tell us what you're doing in the historical committee, and so I can just absolutely be in awe of your skills of
We're doing a lot.
preservation.
Well, we're always doing a lot, but right now it's thanks to Chris Lucchini, we've just got gigabytes and gigabytes of things that have gotten scanned that we are busily putting up onto Lpedia.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing a big volunteer drive. And next week, actually, every single night on Zoom, I have some volunteer training to help get that up. So if anyone wants to volunteer, it's never too late. So email me at secretary@lp.org and I'll set you up with a meeting. So yeah, that's what we're doing there to try to get all that information up. But Lpedia needs your help no matter who you are, and you should have your own Lpedia page if you don't already. And the media is really starting to pay attention to Lpedia, so it's pretty important we get the affiliate pages up to date.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if there's any candidates, that's a great place to put all your stuff because we have a good page rank. We're going to have a better page rank than your page. So if you really want to have something come up towards the top that's giving you all of your campaign stuff, put it on Lpedia. Take advantage of that.
That's a great idea. That is an absolute wonderful idea.
Yeah, we have a really good page ranking, so I really encourage candidates to take advantage of that. And we're not like Wikipedia. You're allowed to make your own page because we count on the LP community that if you're there just, you know, tooting your own horn, that somebody will come along and correct the record. So we're not concerned about that. We've already had people who've posted, that they're the king of all the earth and all that. And that's only lasted for a couple minutes. So the community's wonderful. If you enjoy Wikipedia, you'll enjoy LPedia even more.
The caption on my headshot on my page says, "Look at me, I'm the captain now," and that has been like that for 6 months. So,
well, you probably agree with that.
Hopefully, nobody heard that and goes and changes it.
Laura, anything going on with you, or anything coming up in the next week?
No.
Even killed Laura. Just. Always forward. I love it. I love it.
Jealous.
I think we found the culprit. We found the culprit, Valerie.
So I know I was supposed to go to the Indiana convention this weekend, but that has been nixed because they have so many delegates that they don't even have space for all of their delegates there. So the only people that are allowed to be there are delegates and vendors. So congratulations to Indiana. You guys are really rocking it with party growth. And hopefully next year you'll find a bigger and better venue to actually have everyone there. I love hearing that news. And I look forward to joining you on your Zoom this Saturday. It's amazing. I love hearing them.
Some of it was COVID restrictions.
COVID restrictions have also hurt. So.
Yeah, so they'll be better next year.
One of the first
LP
at conventions,
South Dakota, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
One of the first LP conventions I went to was in Indiana, in Evansville, I think. Maybe it was the second one I went to, but it was at a casino. And which was amazing. And I drove. I saw a wolf. Okay, this is seriously. I saw a wolf cross the road. I was driving. I left. It was on I drove 10 hours from Lincoln on a Friday night after the legislature got done. Drove to Evansville, and a wolf crossed my path at one point on one of these back roads. It's like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
Freaking Indiana.
You mentioned casino. I think we need to have a convention sometime in Branson.
Yes. Are the Osmonds still there?
No.
Probably.
Yakov Smirnoff.
I would go to that show because I definitely love Yakov Smirnoff for many reasons.
What a country.
Yeah, what a country. I got to this country and I see billboard with all America loves Smirnoff. I brought it home. I love Yakov Smirnoff. It's definitely one of my favorite comedians, even though he's horrifically dated. But
Jay, it wasn't actually in Evansville. It was on one of the roads. The Google Maps took me on these really weird roads to get to Evansville, and I was like out literally in the middle of nowhere, and it was right along the river, and this wolf crossed the path. I was shocked, but it was either that or a really, really, really big dog. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was a wolf.
But unfortunately with that, we are out of time this week. So again, thank you to Caryn Harlos for joining us. Thank you, Valerie and Laura, for joining us. And thank you to all of you, our viewers. You make this show a lot of fun. And thank you for all the laughs and hard-hitting questions that you have asked over the course of the last hour. Again, we look forward to seeing you next week at the same time, same place. As always, Libertarians at Large. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Eric.
Thanks, Karen Ann.
Have a good night.
You too.